All right, welcome to part 2. We now have in Photoshop a smart object, and we can tell it's a smart object because of this little icon here. And if we zoom back out and we look at this and we're like, oh man, that is blue. Ugh. You can double click on that smart object to take you back into Camera Raw and let you make any other changes. So we're going to warm it up a little bit and also maybe bring open the shadows a little bit more. Then hit OK, and it will update right in Photoshop. So I'm going to pull the layers over here because we're going to be working with setting up some layers. Okay, first thing we're going to do, I am going to add a curves layer, curves adjustment layer. And in your adjustment panel, curves is the third one over, top row. And when you click it, you get two things. You get a layer mask and you get the actual tool, right? So if you want to adjust the tool, it's right here. If you want to adjust the mask, it's right there. And you can see how this properties panel changes. See? Tool, mask. So now curves is kind of a tricky tool, and I think it's a little intimidating to most people, and it's definitely intimidating to me. So I like to use the scrubby hand, or what's called the targeted adjustment tool, the TAT. And then you can go through the image and just click and push up or down where you want to add or subtract contrast. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make those clouds look really good. Now the rest of the picture is not going to look great. So I'm going to go back over to my properties panel and pull these ones out that I don't want. How do those clouds look? Pretty good? Yeah. So maybe a little excessive. But if I like the clouds and I just want to work with the clouds, what I could do is select the mask, grab the brush, take the opacity up to 100, make sure black and white are your foreground and background color, and then paint on that mask out what you don't want affected by that curves layer. So that is kind of an easy way to start to work with your directing the light, because it was that stormy out, right? And if you go too far like this, just hit X to put white in the front. You can bring it right back. So I like that sky. It's much more dramatic. If it's too far, you can always take the opacity down, no problem. And I'm going to show you an easier way to do that. So if I want to select everything but her, I can grab one of the selection tools. We've got our quick select, magic wand, all sorts of lasso tools, and our marquee. I'm going to try the quick select because it looks for edges. Okay, and that did a pretty good job. Okay. Has sample all layers on, so it doesn't matter what layer I had selected. I want to control Command plus up and grab the lasso tool, hold down the option and minus out her little glove. Okay. I'm also going to try and clean this up a little bit. So you can combine tools. To add to a selection, you hold on the shift and you can see the little icon, the little plus icon next to the lasso tool. So we want to add this mountain. Oops, sorry. Subtract that mountain. Okay. Now, if you have a selection, you're like, well, that looks pretty good, but I kind of want to check it out before I make any commitments to it. What I like to do is hit Q. And Q will show me what is selected. And Q is quick mask, right? It's a temporary mask where you can go in and use the brush to really make sure that you have a good selection. And in this case, I'm going to double click because I want it to show the selected areas. And hit Q back in, and it's showing me what's selected. Now I can get a brush, maybe with 50% opacity, zoom in, make the brush smaller, and then just make sure with using black and white that you're getting all of this stuff. So see, it's taking a little bit of her hair out. I'm going to hit X, bring a little bit of her hair back in, make sure I got the jacket. So I like to use the space bar to move around the image and then if I need to mask something with black in the front, I can add to that selection with white in the front, and I'm toggling that with the X as an X-Men. So I'm just moving along, checking it out. This is kind of a dodgy image because this is fog. So we're just kind of approximating in this image, but you get the idea, right? So now that you've corrected your quick mask, you can hit Q to exit. And you'll notice, oh, it's got that little piece of hair in there. It's got a little more hair in here. And I've got some more mountains in here. Actually, I'm going to hit Q again, make this a little larger. And this a little softer, and with a much softer brush, kind of paint selection. Because it's fog, I think I can be a little softer on my selection. Okay? All right, Q to exit. And then, now that I have a selection, when I hit one of the adjustment layers, such as the curves, you'll notice that it has the selection in it. The black is not selected and the white is, right? So that's why I like to make selections first, and we'll go through that again. But now you can play with the sky all you want, and it is not going to affect her. It looks a little wonky around where the earth meets the land, so I would click on the mask, and you can play with the density of the mask or the feathering. So if you feather it a little bit, that helps a little bit, right? So this is before and after. And then if you're like, oh, it's still a little too much, you can take the opacity down or use the brush on this layer mask to fix any last minute things, like this white halo around this mountain. Not cool. So I'm going to go in and try and get rid of that. You can always tell you're doing compositing when there's a white halo around something or it looks too abrupt, too sharp. Okay. We will also be doing some selections where we go in and refine the selections in the next video.